All right. How are you guys doing today? I'm doing all right. Spent the first like 4 hours of the morning just reading. I got to get back in the habit of reading, man. I love reading. Whenever I get in the zone and I just start reading, I mean, hours just fly by. I can read for a long fucking time. I got out of the habit. When I went out of the country, when I went to Namibia, I, uh, I was gone for 2 weeks. I didn't read nothing. I didn't listen and I didn't do nothing. I just sat outside and watched animals and hung out with my father-in-law, and that was that. That's all I did. And so when I got back, I I- when I got back, I transferred to the new area. I'm still living in the same area, but I transferred to Dayton, driving for them out there, which is like an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes from the house. So a lot of times I'll leave the house like super early, like 4 o'clock in the morning. I won't even get home until sometimes I won't get home till after 7, 8 o'clock at night. And the last thing I'm thinking about doing is picking up a book. It's like get home, have a couple of beers, eat dinner, kiss the wife, go to bed. It's like, and so I'm doing that. And I just didn't pick books back up. And then my days off, I lollygag around the house and drink beer and bullshit and listen to podcasts. And then today I just decided, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to listen to all the podcasts I normally listen to. I'm just going to catch up on the news in the morning, figure out what's going on for the day. And then I'll listen to two-way at night and see how the news progressed throughout the day. But I don't necessarily have to have that complete incoming all the time. I can sit down and I can read. And sure enough, once I got started, I was just like boom, 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 and I was just rolling through it. Um, started a started reading a Dostoevsky book and started reading a book about Saint Nicephorus, and I'm still reading on the Spanish Civil War. I'm still reading on that book. So yeah, I was just like, I just need to get it in my head that that's what I got to do. I got to discipline myself to do this, and that's what I have to do. Anyway, enough about that. I wanted to first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to thank everybody for the feedback on the on March the Saints first reading from the lives of the great Desert Fathers that I released this past Sunday. Um, I think I'm going to be doing some more stuff on my Substack. I'm not going to charge like everything I do. I was talking to my wife about this. Everything that I do, I'm releasing for free. I want everybody to have access to it and to be able to share it. Please go share my stuff. I know I'm bad about talking about this stuff. I don't like promoting myself. I'm not good at it. But I just kind of wanted to give y'all an update on like kind of what I'm thinking about. Everything I do for free. I put out there for free. There are tiers on Substack that you can subscribe to. And I know when you like sign up to the newsletter, it gives you the option to sign up and subscribe and pay and blah, blah, blah. I don't even know what the tiers are. I haven't looked at it in so long. Um, but I think if y'all want to do like monthly donations or you want to contribute in some way, like just go do that. Just go to Substack and just like sign up for like, I don't know what, $5 a month or $2 a month, whatever I have it set at. I don't even know. I'd have to go look. And just consider it like a donation portal, if y'all want to donate, if y'all want to give money, that'd be the best way to do it. Um, Otherwise, don't worry about it. Everything's free. I know that people's finances can be tight at times. Shit, I just went through a little tight period because I did get some work done on my truck. And so, shit happens, you start eating into your savings or whatever. Not everybody is, you know, at that point in life where they can afford, an emergency or if, or mechanical problems or whatever. So if you're not in a position to give, don't worry about it. I'm not depending on y'all for my livelihood. I work for a living. But if you want to give, I do appreciate it. It's nice to know that people appreciate the work that I'm putting in. So that being said, okay. Oh, if you want to know where the Substack is, just go tommysalmons.com. That's how you can get to the Substack. You don't have to go search through the Substack and stuff like that. Just myname.com is linked directly to the Substack. So that's the easiest way to find my Substack. I have YouTube channels too. If you want to go watch on YouTube, whatever, like I don't care. I don't keep up with how many views I get or anything like that. I think very few people watch me on YouTube. Most people are used to downloading me and listening to me because I didn't do video for the longest time. But my videos are released at the Substack too. I'd rather promote the Substack than the YouTube. So that's me. I have a Rumble, but I haven't uploaded to Rumble in a few weeks. I had to get a new laptop and I just haven't logged back into Rumble um, with all the laptop issues I was having. So, but we should be good for 6 more years because that's what the last one lasted me. So, yeah, and who knows? By that time, I might be in South Africa. I don't know. We'll see. So that's still up in the air. We're still trying to figure out when and how we're going to do that. But we're going on a trip. We're going to take a trip in May, and then we're going to take a trip to South Africa in 2027. We're going to go to Cape Town in 2027. So if you're in the area, hit me up. But yeah, other than that, um, let's dive into this right here. I had posted on X the other day that a parent that raises their children to be dependent hates their children, and a government that raises that creates a dependent class of citizens hates their citizens. And I truly believe that. Like, if you really, truly love your people, whether it's your children, your cousins, your whoever, I mean, your protege, you want to teach those people to be dependent, independent, I'm sorry, and to get off of the dependency and to not be suckling the tit for the rest of their life. That the creating a dependence might make you feel good. It feels like oh, I'm providing for these people. I'm caring for them. I'm loving them. But you're not, you know. Give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, feed him for the rest of his life. That person has to learn to do that hard work because eventually that dependence is going to get cut off. But if you're a parent, eventually you're going to die and that child isn't going to know what to do when you're gone. If you're the state, you're going to go into debt. Someone's going to shut down the government and people are going to go without food. That's not a way to love somebody. That's not a way to care for somebody. That's not a way to show compassion to somebody. Like if some people, everybody needs help sometimes. Like I get it. Like I, I would turn to my parents, back in the day when I was strapped for cash, and I, there was nothing I could do. I was like, I can't. And, they would help me, but I didn't do it regularly. I hated doing it. It took everything within me to ask. It had to get so bad. I didn't have an option, you know, and it's not that they minded. Like if I could have asked them every freaking weekend, they would have given me 50, $100, whatever it was. I just refused. I wouldn't do it. Um, I could probably, mean, I can't remember every single time I asked, but I can tell you for certainty it was less than 8 times, and it was extreme circumstances whenever I did. Like we were about to go days without electricity or days without food or whatever. It was truly extreme circumstances. And but that built character, that built strength, determination, and independence on my end that I could handle my business. and that I could deal with whatever came my way, and that I would find a way to get around it, that I'd find a way to claw through it, that I would find a way with my bank account in the negative to catch up and stay ahead. You know, I would find a way to thrive despite everything. And I was reading, so Saint Nicfarios, he was a leper, and he had this. He said this thing. He said something like a person. Let's see, if a person lived their entire life without struggle, then only the angels would be holy, because it's that struggle that sharpens you, that makes you better, that uplifts your spirit, that pushes you to that next level. It's that struggle. It's it's that desire to thrive, to be better, and to uplift, to lift yourself up. You know, they say pull yourself up by your bootstraps or whatever, but it's just that struggle that really creates that character of determination and discipline, like we talked about last week. And if you're thriving to walk the royal path and to advance into that vertical culture, it's all struggle. None of it's easy. It's all struggle. Every day it's struggle, 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 struggle. Every time you think you got something figured out, something else hits you in the face. It's just bam, 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 bam. You know, what was it? Oh, my phone turned off. Sorry. Shit. That's where my notes are. That's what I'm looking at here. I got my phone over here with my notes on it. But yeah, so the elites have created the environment for politics of envy. And these politics of envy are overtaking the elite system. When you see this in the New York City mayoral race last night, you see this with AOC, with Bernie Sanders, these these people that want everything for free. They're free, 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 free. Give, 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 give. Creating the dependency on the state, so that they can have control over the lives of their people. And the elites created this system through their cronyism, regulatory capture, perpetual war, inflationary monetary policy, and a permanent dependent class. 42 million people on food stamps. 42 million people on food stamps. We're going to get into some of these numbers later, and you're going to be like, what the fuck are we doing? But it's 42 million people on food stamps. It's fucking insane. It's a completely uh, like uplifting the parasite class over the productive class. The productive class pays the price for this. And the productive class always also pays the price for the the corporate welfare, right? I'm not talking about a business getting a tax break, to build in New York or whatever, like with Amazon was supposed to get that $3 billion tax break. No, I'm talking about the government constantly funneling money into these businesses to keep these businesses running, to keep these businesses going. And the federal government has long poured money into corporations, whether it's to get these corporations to um, to develop for government, or whether it's to prop up the businesses like you saw in 2008 with the bailouts for the banks. This corporate the corporate welfare system and the impoverished welfare system working hand in hand to prop each other up, creating this parasite class that lives off that productive class, that sucks the life out of them, that sucks the wealth out of that middle class of working individuals that are constantly struggling 70 hours a week, 80 hours a week, busting their ass, doing everything they can to raise a family, barely making their mortgage, barely feeding their family, wondering how their kids are going to go to college, and constant stress and constant anxiety over these things. And then it breeds this this envy within the population. It's like, well, why are you giving corporations billions of dollars and then you're giving the poor billions of dollars and all you're giving me is a headache. All you're doing is taking from me. You take and take and take, and you're handing out over here and you're handing out over there. You're giving to foreign countries. And the impoverished are told to look at those that are productive and those that are billionaires as evil, and that, well, they just don't want you to have. So we have to take from them to give to you. The corporations want to get wealthier. So they get in bed with government and create this crony system that shuts out mom and pop shops and small businesses through regulatory capture and other means. And the productive class is sitting here going, Jesus Christ, I can't keep doing this. You keep taking from me to give to others. I'm getting nothing out of this. And they get mad. And that's how you end up with a Trump. Because they got mad because the working class, the productive class of men and women that have been working their fingers to the bone for the last 20, 30, 40 years without any chance of a retirement, without the ability to send their kids to college, without their kids going hundreds of thousands of dollars into debt. Their kids have no hope for buying a house in the near future. And they get pissed off and they elect Trump and they're like, fix this. Like, whatever I don't care what you fucking have to do, fix it. The wages have been stagnant since the 70s. Money has been, the inflationary monetary policies have decimated the dollar, eaten away well over 95% of its spending power. Jobs that used to feed a family of four can barely, keep one person afloat anymore. And they're just like, fix it. I don't know what the fuck happened, but fix it. I don't know. I don't care what you have to do. Fucking fix it. Break everything, tear it to pieces, get the rot out of there, and fucking fix it. And that's what you're seeing with these people that don't want to demonize Trump. They don't want to go after Trump because they're like, I put him in here to tear shit up. I don't know what he's going to tear up. And I've heard people say it constantly. Like when I had Botcha on, I was talking to her about, like, a lot of us that are middle class, like, we don't mind the struggle. We don't care. Like, if we have to struggle a little while longer to ensure that our children have a better future, we'll struggle. We've already been struggling. It doesn't matter to us. If I struggle a little bit more, I struggle a little bit more, but we've already been struggling. I've already been giving up going to the doctor. I've already been giving up going to the dentist. I've already given up a lot. It doesn't matter if it's another 10 years of it. I don't care. If it promises my children a better future, that's all that matters. Well, Baccia had told me, she's like, I'm going to say it. I'm going to quote you everywhere. And she did. I heard her saying it all over the place. And now I hear people regurgitating her saying it. And I'm like, shit, she got that shit from me, which is pretty cool because it's like on large platforms. I mean, they're out there saying, like, yes, if it benefits my children, I'll struggle. I don't care. It doesn't bother me whatsoever if I have to struggle a little bit so that my children's future and and their children's future is more comfortable and better. Like, I don't fucking care. It doesn't matter, you know? And so, but so that's why like they create the elites created this monster, and the working class people just got fed up. They got tired, and they were just like, yo, put Trump in there. Well, Trump gets in there and he starts changing things, and who's going to get mad? The parasite class. The parasite class gets pissed off. And this is why you see all the shit that the Democrats are pulling. It's because their donors, their electorate are getting pissed off because Trump is saying, no, this government, like this system is not created to further enrich you and to feed you. While these people that are doing all the work are getting fucked. Like, we're not going to play that game. Like, no, this is bullshit. We're not doing that shit no more. Y'all are billionaires. Y'all have to figure shit out on your own. You over here are going to have to figure some stuff out on your own. We're not going to starve you, but we're definitely not going to perpetuate your lifestyle and continue to victimize the working class, the productive class of society. And so then you get Mamdani, because the people that are addicted to these entitlement programs are like, they're taking our shit away. Why are they taking our shit away? And so they elect a fucking communist or socialist or whatever you want to call him. He calls himself a socialist. So, like, we can go with socialist. I'm fine with that. I don't give a shit. He didn't shoot his way into power. He went through the democratic process. So, yeah, socialist is fine with me, you know? And then on top of that, you have the collision of the birthright and the foreign entitlements, right? So you have kind of the MAGA style Republican, um, people like me who aren't, I'm not MAGA, I wouldn't say, but I'm definitely more right wing and against the the foreign policy, of the structural elites that have been running DC, for the last fucking 100 years. And I'm definitely against that progressive foreign policy of spreading democracy all over the world at the point of a gun. Like, that's definitely not my politics. I'm definitely against that. And so you get this idea that it's America is our birthright. We were born into this nation that our grandfathers built, our great grandfathers built, our great 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 grandfathers built. Many, many of them died fighting and building this country so that their future generations could have a better life, a more comfortable life. And we see the money being poured into foreign countries and into illegal immigrants and into refugees and asylees that's being directly taken from us. And we're like, well, what about my birthright? What was this all about? Why did so many men in my family sacrifice? What was it for? It wasn't to leave me impoverished. It wasn't so that it wasn't so that my brother could feel so hopeless about the future that he becomes a drug addict and homeless, sleeping in his own feces with needles around him. They didn't they didn't build this structure to enrich this elite cabal of people that would victimize the producers and the workers of this nation. But it became so corrupt that that's what happened. That those with families that have been dedicated to fighting the wars, building the infrastructure, and keeping the nation running, that their offspring are the victims of the parasites that suck the host dry. A lot of men in my industry driving truck never see retirement. It's one of the top five most dangerous jobs in the world. And if you don't die on the job, you probably die in your sleeper alone, whether you're overweight or your arteries are clogged from all the disgusting truck stop food you've been eating for the last 50 years. But very few retire. I happen to be in a unique situation and I'm going to be able to get out of this industry pretty soon. But a lot of men die still working. And not to say I won't be working. I'll find something to do. I'll still be podcasting or writing, or I'll be doing something. I'm going to have something to do. But a lot of men die in jobs that they despise. They don't want to do anymore. They're too hard on their bodies. They're too hard on their minds. But they don't have the options because their wealth is transferred from their productivity to the parasite class. And they're tired of it. They're sick and tired of it. And I was thinking about this earlier and I started looking up statistics. Let me see if I can share my screen. Let's see. Let's see. Content only. Yeah. Don't need sound. What is this? Screen and system audio recording. Oh my goodness. Oh, well, it's not going to let me do this. I don't know why it won't let me do it. Let me see. Let me try again. This is, like I said, it's a brand new computer, so it's giving me a hard time. Okay. All right. There we go, I think. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully y'all can see that. It says I'm sharing, so we're good. All right. So when you think about this, it's not only the foreign policy of America where the money is getting transferred overseas. And I looked up four cities just out of curiosity. 28.7% of residents in Houston were born outside of the country. 28.7% of residents in Houston were born outside of the country. 36% of New York City is foreign born. 39.7% of Los Angeles foreign born. 20.6% of Chicago is foreign born. And why does this matter? These people were coming here and producing for themselves, putting together a life for themselves, doing it legally, not running down the income of hardworking men and women, not putting a strain on the health on healthcare industry wouldn't bother me. Wouldn't bother me. I don't care. The people that come here and they take care of themselves, like my wife, she's a hard worker. She's a self starter. She works for herself out of the house with like 4 or 5 different clients, which there's nothing wrong with those people. Those people are fine. But when you see coming from the U.S. Committee for Refugees and Immigrants with the article, a survival lifeline for refugees and immigrants will end on November 1st, talking about SNAP. That means that refugees, asylees, survivors of human trafficking, survivors of domestic violence, and other non citizens. So the only people that have been human trafficked or survived domestic violence are non citizens. It's just the way that they word these things. It's like, oh, you're not, you're against people that have been trafficked, or you're against people that have survived domestic violence. No, I'm against the government taking money from hardworking American citizens and funneling it into people that shouldn't even be here. That's what I'm against. I'm against the federal government forcing people to pay to prop up the lifestyles of people that have no business being here. None whatsoever. If you're a refugee and you come to this country, you better figure out a way to take care of yourself. It is not the US government, it is not the taxpayer's job to feed you, to house you, and to pay for your health care. That is your job. If you were seeking asylum from political persecution or some gang related persecution in your country, you better have a skill set that allows you to survive in the US. Otherwise, we're going to put you out on the street with the drug addicts. You don't have a right to come to this country and take money from those that are producing, those that are working, those that are trying to raise families and pay for college and care for their children and their families. You don't have that right. You are not entitled to their money. 1.5 million non-citizens receive food stamps. Now, this is from 2022. This was written in 2025, but it says the statistics are from 2022. Another 2.2 million children living with non-citizens were also on food stamps. So these anchor babies or children that were brought across the border illegally, living with illegal aliens. So you're looking at 3.6 million people that should not be on food stamps. 3.65 million people that should not be on food stamps. And this one cracked me up. This is a fact check from Al Jazeera. Fact checking a viral chart on U.S. food stamp recipients' race, ethnicity. They didn't fact check it. They didn't. But what's this telling us? Percentage of U.S. households receiving SNAP benefits. 45.6% of Afghans are on SNAP. 42.4% of Somalis are on SNAP. 34.8% of Iraqis. 34.4% of Dominicans. Chart goes on. And here they say the chart doesn't show the full picture of SNAP. According to the most recent USDA data available, 2023, white people are the largest racial group receiving SNAP benefits. So 35.4% of white people are on SNAP. 45.6% of Afghans are on SNAP. What are we not showing the picture of? So it goes on to say that like somewhere right around 11, what is it, 11%? Or just under 11%? I think it was like 10.8%. Uh, it's like somewhere right around 11% of refugees and asylees and illegals, non-citizens, basically, I think it says. I think it says not. Yeah, right here. The same report found that 89.4% of SNAP recipients were US born citizens, meaning that less than 11% of SNAP participants were foreign born. So 10.6% of SNAP recipients are foreign born. So that's 10.6% of my income I should be getting back, right? That's 10.6% of my income you are not entitled to take from me. That's what it means. It doesn't mean like anything other than 35.4% of SNAP recipients are white, 45 points of yeah, of SNAP recipients are white, but 45.6% of the Afghan culture or Afghan refugees or immigrants in the United States are on SNAP. Almost half. Almost half of the Afghans that come into the United States to live are on food stamps. That's what we're saying. If you take the 35.4%, right, of 42 million, that's not that's not half of the white population in the United States. That's way less. So like they convolute these arguments and they're like, well, just because 45.6% of Afghans are on food stamps doesn't mean food stamps are being abused. Well, yeah, 10.6% of food stamps goes to non-citizens. That's ridiculous. It's insane. And I've been saying that forever because you always hear these people say, well, they don't give illegal immigrants food stamps. They don't give immigrants welfare benefits. Blah, blah. And I'm like, yes, they do. The first thing they asked my wife when we walked in, when she was applying for a green card, she hadn't even been approved for a green card. The first thing they asked her was, do you need any assistance? That's the first thing they asked. They didn't ask her her name, where she was from, if she was affiliated with a terrorist organization. None of that shit came up. Do you need money? Do you need anything from the taxpayers? Should the taxpayers build you a house? Should the taxpayers pay for your food? Should the taxpayers pay for your Medicaid? Oh, that was another thing. I forgot about that. Let's go back to share. I got to find that. I got that article. Let me move this box here. Fact checking. Well, maybe I didn't pull it up. Thought I did. Let me see. No, I didn't pull it up. Okay, well, I can just tell you. I don't have to. That's not. It's not necessary. Anyway, what it was so the big beautiful bill. One of the things that was put into the big beautiful bill that was going into effect this year was they were taking they were taking away Medicaid from refugees and asylees. They were also taking away SNAP from refugees and asylees. The problem was it wasn't going to cover all refugees and asylees. It was only going to be a certain percentage of them that were actually going to be taken off of SNAP and Medicaid. So there is a theory, and it could very well be true. There's a theory that part of the reason that Trump has allowed the shutdown to go the way it has into the end of SNAP before he started calling to end the filibuster was to get the rest of the refugees and asylees off of the benefits program. I don't know if it's true. Could be, could not be. Is he playing 4D chess or is he twiddling his thumbs? Does he know what he's doing? Does he not know what he's doing? That's up to you. Make your own judgment call on that. But it's just a very interesting thing that the way they had written the big beautiful bill, thinking that it was going to pull all refugees and asylees off of Medicaid and SNAP, actually left like something like 6.6% of them still covered. And so it could be a move to try to get the rest of them off of SNAP in this process while they're dealing with the courts and, you know, shuffling money around and doing all that. And maybe that's why he waited to call for the end of the filibuster until after the SNAP benefits had expired or like the day before or something like that. I think it was the day before. Um, One of the things I found interesting was I was listening to Two Way last night while the election results were coming in, and a couple of New Yorkers that were blue collar guys called in. Were like, "This is fucking bullshit. This is ridiculous." Like the the upper middle class and the wealthy, entitled, rich white kids and all the immigrants have just voted in this socialist who's going to make life a living hell for the rest of us. And there's nothing we can do about it. And I thought it was so interesting that only 37% of New Yorkers were actually born, or like New York City residents were actually born in New York City. 37%. The rest of them have come from all over the world. Almost an equivalent amount, 36% are from foreign nations. That's insanity. That's crazy. That is so nuts. That makes up what, 73% of the population is either born in New York City or foreign born. And then you have transplants from around the country that make up the other 27%. That's wild. That is fucking wild. So if you can get all the foreign born to vote for you, a handful of the transplants and a handful of native New Yorkers, you can win an election there. And that's what it sounds like Mamdani did. It sounds like his real focus was on um, Muslims and um, immigrants, and then the awfuls, affluent white female liberals. And that's how he put his coalition together. But yeah, it sounds like the working class New Yorkers are really pretty pissed off. You know, your electricians, your plumbers, your warehouse workers, your dock workers. Sounds like they're pretty pissed off. I read a story yesterday that said a million, there's at least a million people talking about fleeing New York City with Mamdani there, which is just going to further entrench the ideology. It's going to give him victimhood status so that he can point the finger at everyone else, not take responsibility for the failures of socialism, and continue to drive that city into the ground. And then I don't know, in surprising news, Jay Jones killed it last night. Pardon the pun. But yeah, Jay Jones won after the text messages came out that showed that he was he wanted to kill his his Republican opponent, and he wanted to see that man's children die in their mother's arms so that he could pass gun control legislation. The left has lost the plot, man. They have turned to full violence, whether it's assassination attempts or assassinations, um, like sitting outside of churches with bombs, um, firebombing Shapiro's house. Like they've gone crazy. The left has gone absolutely insane. It's so embedded into their psyche that political violence is okay, that they are openly electing someone who fantasizes about killing his political enemies as the attorney general. Like, it's like, what? So, I don't know, man. And I know a lot of the people that voted in the Virginia race are former USAID employees that are pissed off that they lost their jobs and that USAID got shut down. But get a real job. Go fuck yourself. Who cares? Go build a house. Learn a skill. Quit depending on the taxpayers to pay your way. So let's talk a little bit about South America. I don't even know how long I've been recording. I haven't been paying attention. What didn't pay attention when I came in here. I didn't know what time it is. So I'll make it short though. It looks like Trump's position here in South America and what he's trying to do in South America is to reinstate the Monroe Doctrine. So if you've ever, I mean, I'm sure all of y'all have listened to Scott Horton talk about like the Ukraine Russia war, right? And the US and the and NATO's constant pushing on Russian boundaries and moving eastward with NATO expansion, how that provoked Russia to attack Ukraine. Well, you can kind of look at South America the same way. And you don't have to agree with what Trump's doing. I'm not saying that. I don't like the trust me bro foreign policy of bombing these quote unquote drug boats. We have no idea what's going on there. Um, he's talking apparently he's had briefings with Congress, but that doesn't give any of us any sort of idea of what he's actually doing, why he's actually doing it, if they really are running fentanyl or other drugs. Um, I was watching the beginning of the year. There's a there's a show that comes on News Nation that's like it's about the border. I can't remember the lady's name, but she does a show on the border and the the reinforcement of the border, the actions taken, the police actions taken on the border, and a lot of those shows that she did were covering like the Coast Guard intercepting ships running drugs and the amount of cocaine and fentanyl that they had intercepted in the first like 3 months of the Trump administration was incredible. I think it was like equivalent to the amount that the FBI and the Coast Guard had intercepted last year, like total. So they had were really increased their presence and their police actions in intercepting these boats running drugs into the United States. Um, Shortly after that, I think it was like April, they started bombing these boats. It's uncomfortable. I'm not comfortable with it. I don't like it. I wish there was more information coming out. Like we don't we don't know who they're actually bombing. We just know who they're telling us they're bombing. And we've been lied to so much about foreign policy and these actions, these military actions that are taken just to further enrich the military industrial complex and funnel money into Northrop Grumman, Boeing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that it's hard to trust them when they say, well, this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it. Not to say that the combination of the terror war and the war on drugs would be any more successful than either one of them were individually. Like, I don't know if that's the, doesn't sound like a match made in heaven. Let's just put it that way. It sounds like it could be very detrimental to the U.S. Um, on But there's like Bannon, Glenn Beck, people that talk to the president and the administration regularly are saying it's not about the drugs. It's about putting pressure on the Venezuelan government and Maduro to back away from China. That China has such a stronghold in South America that the Trump administration has made it a priority. And this is why they were so focused on the Panama Canal early on in the administration, was to deplete China's stronghold of the shipping lanes. This also is supposedly this is why there was the $20 billion currency exchange in Argentina. A lot of people want to say it was just funneling, just giving Argentina $20 billion, but that's not what it was. It was a currency exchange, which is regularly done with allies all around the world. It's typically handled through the Federal Reserve, but this particular currency exchange was in the name of foreign policy, and it was handled by Scott Bessent in the Treasury. And it's because for the when you exchange currency with a smaller or poorer nation, what you're doing is you're backing their currency. You're giving their currency value backed by your currency, basically, is what you're doing. And China had been engaged in currency exchanges with Argentina over the last like decade. And so Trump made a deal with Malay that, hey, if you stop backing the Argentinian peso with the yen or yuan or whatever it is, I think it's the yen, then we'll back the peso with the dollar. But get out of business with China, and then you can get into bed with us. You can go into business with us and we'll back your peso. So that sounds like that's what that was all about. And that's why there's this deal with Argentinian beef going on. And it's causing some issues with the ranchers here in the US, but because of the local regulations and the USDA regulations on ranching and beef in the US, it's actually cheaper for the consumer to buy Argentinian beef than it is to buy USDA beef, American raised beef. So now you look at, okay, so making America great again, if you're putting America first, is it the American consumer? Is it the American uh, business owner, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? I mean, those are debates to be had and to work out. But it sounds to me like a lot of the moves that we're seeing down in South America, whether it's Panama, Venezuela, Argentina, Brazil, is in order to disrupt China and their stronghold there so that they don't pull a move like NATO pulled in Europe. That's kind of what I'm gathering from listening to Steve Bannon talk about these things on a regular basis. You can agree, you can disagree. It's an explanation. It's not a defense. I don't, I haven't, I don't know if I've really spent enough time thinking in detail about it to determine exactly what I think about it. I'm not comfortable with the bombing of the boats. I don't like a trust me, bro, foreign policy. I don't like that it just feels like another way to give money to the military industrial complex and to pacify them for our lack of engagement in the Middle East. Um, I don't like that. It that might not even be the case, but it kind of has that feel to it. But on the other hand, the Trump administration and Pete Hegseth are working with they're working with small um, American businesses on technology development for the military, and so it seems like they're trying to break the bonds of these large international corporations that have kind of tied themselves into military contracting and into the military industrial complex and been manufacturers of our weapons and our planes and our technology for so many years. So there, it seems like there's a lot going on there, and it's kind of like in flux, and it's a fluid situation. And so getting overly concerned about the relationship with Venezuela, the relationship with, Boeing and Northrop Grumman and, you know, Raytheon, it's there seems to be some movement, and that it's an untold it's the story's not written yet. It's we haven't come to the end of the road on what's happening there, because I know there's some different technology that's being worked on by smaller companies and organizations. There are some contracts being handed out that are going to like Chevy to develop some things, and um, kind of getting away from the Stewart and Stevenson model. So there's a lot of different things happening, and it's kind of hard to comment on because it is such a fluid and ongoing story that I'm not really certain which direction it's headed. And that's part of what makes Trump so much fun to watch, yet so frustrating to watch all at the same time, because you're watching him and you're like, okay, you're doing that just to piss some people off, and that's pretty fucking funny. And then he starts doing things, and you're like, why the fuck is he doing that? Oh my God, is he going to get us all killed? So yeah, there's this like it's really hard to kind of watch the day-to-day interactions that Trump's having. And I think that once the Trump administration's over and we get through like one more administration, like another 4 years beyond this second Trump term, and once we get about 4 to 8 years beyond, we're going to look back and we're going to see all the things that he was doing start coming out and coming to fruition and be revealed to us, because the media that with access to the White House and with access to Donald Trump, they do such a terrible job of covering what's going on. And so it's left up to truck drivers like me to spend their day off researching and recording a fucking podcast because these goddamn assholes, these legacy media dickheads won't do their fucking job. So, but it's all good, man. I enjoy doing it. I love talking about this stuff. I love having the conversations I have. We'll be having some more conversations coming up soon. Like I said, keep an eye on my Substack, TommySalmons.com, for new up and upcoming things that I plan on working on. And let's just y'all have a good rest of your week. And I'm gonna go ahead and release this on Wednesday since y'all got one coming out. Y'all got my On March the Saints coming out on Sunday. So I hope y'all are enjoying that. I hope y'all enjoyed this. We'll talk to you later.